Sometimes the person you look down on is the very one watching how real your heart is. On a hot afternoon at Lagos State University, Ada walked out of the cafeteria holding two plates of food. One was for herself, and the other for a quiet, humble guy everyone called Chuka, the broke boy. She didn't know his real name. She didn't know his story. All she knew was that every time she saw him sitting alone, his eyes told the story of hunger and humility. But what Ada didn't know, what nobody knew, was that the same boy she pitied was a hidden billionaire's son, disguising himself on campus to find someone who truly saw him for who he was, not for what he had. Before we continue this emotional story, kindly hit the subscribe button, because this one will touch your heart and teach you that kindness always finds its way back. Sometimes destiny hides in the simplest acts of kindness. That day in the cafeteria was like any other, yet it marked the beginning of something extraordinary. Ada, a beautiful, soft-spoken girl from one of the wealthiest families in Lagos, had everything. Designer handbags, the latest iPhone, a car her father gifted her for her 20th birthday. But deep down, she was different from most of her rich friends. While others saw status as power, Ada saw kindness as wealth. She noticed Chuka almost every day, quiet, reserved, wearing the same pair of jeans and a plain t-shirt. He never talked much, never joined the noisy crowd. He would just sit under the mango tree beside the cafeteria, sketching in his small notebook, while his stomach growled silently. One afternoon, Ada's friends laughed at him. "Ada, you always act like a saint. That guy is broke. Why are you even looking at him?" But Ada's heart refused to judge. She walked past their laughter, went inside the cafeteria, and came out with 2 plates of jollof rice and chicken. "Hey, I noticed you haven't eaten. Please take this." Chuka looked up, surprised, his eyes filled with both gratitude and pride. "No, I'm fine," he said softly. "Please," Ada insisted with a smile. "It's just food." He hesitated for a moment, then accepted. "Thank you," he whispered. From that day on, Ada made it a habit, buying food for him whenever she could. Sometimes rice, sometimes beans and plantain. She never asked for anything in return, and he never said much, only smiled in appreciation. But behind that calm smile, Chuka carried a secret bigger than anyone could imagine. Weeks turned into months. Students started talking. Rumors spread fast on campus. That rich girl, Ada, is feeding that poor boy again. Oh, she must be in love with him. Ada ignored them. She only saw a human being in need, not knowing that every meal she gave was quietly rewriting both their destinies. Meanwhile, Chuka lived in a small off-campus apartment, one that looked poor on the outside, but hid a world of luxury inside. In his wardrobe were simple clothes, but beneath his bed was a black suitcase full of documents, international property deeds, and an ID card that read Chuka Obina Williams, CEO Air Williams Group Holdings. His father, Chief Obina Williams, a billionaire industrialist, had sent him to study quietly without revealing his identity. He wanted his only son to see the real world, to know who truly cared about him, not his wealth. So Chuka disguised himself as a broke student. He cooked with a single gas burner. He wore the same pair of jeans for weeks. And every time Ada bought him food, his heart melted. She saw him when he was invisible to everyone else. One rainy evening, Ada was walking back from class when the sky opened up. She had no umbrella, and the downpour drenched her completely. Suddenly, Chuka appeared, holding an old umbrella over "You'll catch a cold," he said, his voice gentle. She smiled shyly. "Thank you, but how did you know I was here?" "I was on my way home. I saw you running." They walked together in silence, the rain tapping softly on the umbrella. For the first time, Ada saw the light in his eyes. Not the light of wealth, but of deep kindness and peace. That night, she couldn't sleep. She found herself thinking about him, his calmness, his humility, his mysterious quietness. Soon, their friendship deepened. She'd call him after lectures. They'd study together. Sometimes he would help her fix her laptop or walk her to her car. She liked the way he never tried to impress her. One day, Ada's best friend confronted her. "Ada, are you seriously falling for that broke guy?" Ada smiled. "Maybe I am." Because he's real. But Ada had no idea how close she was to the truth. That the broke boy she loved was not just real, but rare. A few weeks later, an interfaculty entrepreneurship competition was announced. Students were required to pitch business ideas before a panel of guest investors. Chuka quietly registered, using the name C. Williams. Ada didn't even know he joined. On the day of the competition, Ada went to support her classmate who was presenting. When they called the next participant, C. Williams, she froze as she saw Chuka walk onto the stage. He spoke with confidence she had never seen before. His speech was about building sustainable industries that empower students and communities. As he spoke, the judges nodded. The crowd went silent. Then one of the judges, a tall man in a black suit, stood up. He walked to the stage and said, "Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce not just our contestant, but my son, the heir to Williams Group Holdings." Gasps filled the hall. Students' mouths hung open. Cameras flashed. Even Ada's heart stopped for a moment. Chuka smiled calmly and said, "Yes, I am the son of Chief Williams. But I didn't come here to show off my father's wealth. I came to find purpose and people who are genuine, not impressed by money." The crowd erupted in applause. Ada stood frozen, her heart pounding. Everything made sense. The mystery, the simplicity, the quiet confidence. After the event, reporters surrounded Chuka. He gave quick interviews, then searched for Ada in the crowd. He found her standing quietly near the cafeteria, the same place their story began. "Ada," he said softly. "You lied to me," she whispered, eyes glistening with tears. "I didn't lie. I just didn't tell you who I was," he replied gently. "But why?" "You let me think you were poor, because I wanted to know who would still see me if I had nothing." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "And what did you see?" she asked. Chuka smiled. "I saw the one person who saw me, not my pocket, not my name, just me." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small golden keychain. "This is for you," he said. "What is it?" she asked. "A key to the new foundation I'm starting in your name, the Ada Care Foundation, for helping struggling students on campus. Because of you, I learned the value of kindness." Ada's tears turned to smiles. The crowd that gathered clapped softly. Their story had touched everyone. Months later, Ada and Chuka became inseparable. Their love was pure, not born from money, but from truth. One quiet evening, under the same mango tree where it all began, Chuka knelt on one knee. "Ada, you changed my world with your kindness. You fed me when you didn't know who I was. Will you let me spend the rest of my life feeding your heart with love?" Ada covered her mouth in shock. Tears flowed freely as she nodded. "Yes, yes, Chuka. 1,000 times, yes." The students who once mocked them now celebrated them. Their story spread beyond the campus, an example of humility, love, and faith in humanity.